Good morning, everyone. Hi, this is Terry Folks, the director of the Missouri AfterSchool Network. Thank you guys for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started because we have a lot of updates for you and want to have plenty of time for questions if you have them, or if you're at the end, we should have a few minutes for sharing. So if you'd like to share at the end of the session what's going on with your program, we would love to hear it. And I know your colleagues around the state would love to hear updates too. So maybe be thinking about what you'd like to share about what's going on in your program, kind of what your status is, what your district is doing, what you think you might be doing next week or 2 weeks from now, or maybe what you were doing 2 weeks ago, because that changes for everyone. So, but again, thank you for being here with us this morning. We are having monthly all directors meetings just as a way of getting more information out to the field about various things that are going on. These are being recorded and are being put on YouTube, and a link will be sent out in the next pipeline to the YouTube channel that these are being posted on. So if you'd like to rewatch it, that's great. Or if you are not able to connect with us in a future month and would like to watch it or look at the PowerPoint slides, we'll have those links for you. Wanted to start first with an invitation to participate in our quarterly after-school committee meetings. These meetings are open to any after-school professional or partner in the state of Missouri, and typically in the past they have been held in person in Columbia at Stony Creek. So if you remember seeing in past pipelines the RSVPs for coming to Columbia, these are those same meetings, but this year they are all virtual. So we are so excited about the opportunity to maybe get more involvement from people who would not normally be able to take more than 2 hours out of their day. The meetings themselves are about 2 hours, but we know that the driving to Columbia can make it a much longer day for people. So these links were in the last pipeline, and they'll also be in the pipeline that comes out next week with each of the specific meeting times. So typically we have all of the meetings at the same time at Stony Creek in person, and then we have a lunch together. And this time around, unfortunately, we're not able to offer you lunch. We haven't quite worked out how that would happen virtually yet. But we did work with the various committee chairs to make sure that all 5 committees came in a 2-day period. So this year we're advertising our quarterly committee meetings in pairs of dates, a Wednesday and a Thursday. And each of the times has a distinct time. So if you have always wanted to maybe find out what was going on in another committee meeting, you are more than welcome to visit another committee. If you've always wanted to join a committee but just haven't been able to commit to that drive, this is a great time to connect with the committees. One of the unintended benefits of our closure period and going remote is that we will figure out a way to continue some type of remote access to these meetings in the future. But for this year, we're all remote. So if you're interested in STEM and being a part of the system of professionals who think about what type of STEM PD would be most beneficial to staff and programs, would like to help with how we recognize STEM. So things like STEM Day at the Capitol and a STEM symposium, then you'll want to attend the STEM committee. It's not training, so there's no clock hours, no training in these areas, but this is the people who get together to talk about these topics and think about what we in Missouri need to do in order to push these areas forward. Public policy and awareness will be meeting on Wednesdays from 11 to 1. So the first one being October 7th. The next meetings will be in December. And those other dates are in the pipeline, so you can mark your calendars ahead of time. Public policy and awareness works on a wide variety of issues. Some you'll hear about in some future updates, but supporting programs in doing lights on after school, supporting the after school ambassadors group, educational outreach to our legislators, our Show Me Day at the Capitol. All of those events and topics are a part of that Public Policy and Awareness Committee. Funding and sustainability. We don't necessarily have the answers in that committee, but we do talk about the issues, and we related to funding after school and sustaining after school programs. Right now, we're working on a shared fundraising opportunity with the AfterSchool Network's Donate Now button to open that up for programs across the state who would like to do Donate Now type fundraising, but maybe don't have the mechanism themselves. So that will be a topic, along with discussions of trainings in the area of fundraising from the fundraising school out of Indiana. So again, it's not a training on how to fund or sustain your program. What it is a discussion of what would be helpful for professionals in order to be able to fund and sustain their programs. On Thursday, we have two. Quality Committee is meeting at 9. And the Quality Committee will be, over the next few years, talking about a wide variety of issues. Historically, this has been the committee that works on the core competencies and the program standards. Most recently, they have done a toolkit for programs with resources for working with children with special needs. So moving forward, some of the topics that we'll be talking about over the next couple of years is licensing, school age specific licensing rules, the subsidy system and accessing that system, and supporting programs in order to be able to access that system. There's also some information and updates that will be shared regarding some quality resources that have been developed and or come available during like the last few months. A new tool has come out on quality in virtual programming. So we'll be sharing those kind of information with the Quality Committee, and then kind of setting discussion priorities for the next 3 years. Professional development, that committee has been focusing, excuse me, on increasing the amount of professional development around the state. And one of their big projects that they'd like to see over the next couple of years that we wrote into our 3-year plan is a trainer directory, basically an online trainer directory, where it will be easier for programs throughout the state to access high quality trainers on a variety of topics. So that'll be a topic of discussion. Also virtual professional development and all things related to professional development. So I hope that there's at least one topic that is of interest to you and that you can join us next week for committee meetings. So even if you've never been able to get involved before, please take this opportunity to register for a committee. When you register, it will give you the option to sign up for all 4 or as many as you're interested in. If you just sign up for one right now and then want to, these same links will be available all throughout the year. So then you could go back and sign up for more, or try out a different committee also if you're interested in. So if you have any questions about that, excuse me, you're welcome to unmute and or type your questions in the chat box, and we'll try to get the information out to you. Okay. Next, I'm gonna pass it over to Natalie to talk a little bit about Lights On After School. It's October. It's that time of the year. So thanks, Natalie.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, we've got a lot of excitement brewing for Lights On After School, and I know you may in your local areas also. I know Mark's got a couple of announcements he wants to make about how we're doing nationwide. So on October 22nd, most of you have heard me say this, but we're going to be having our first statewide virtual Lights On After School celebration. So it's going to be from 11 a.m. to noon. Please register to attend. I will put everything in the chat box for these activities. It went out we sent out a standalone email, I think earlier this week to you also, but we got our proclamation from the governor that came in the mail. So we're excited about that. And we will do a word presentation. So some of these awards happen usually at the celebration of after school, but we are going to change that a little bit this year. So at the Lights On After School celebration, we'll be doing the Lifetime Achievement Award, the After School Champions, and we specifically need your help in nominating program partners, please. So those program partners are businesses or other organizations that you cooperate with in your organization that have been organizational champions of after school. And it can be a person at that organization or the organization itself that you nominate. So we've got those forms. And the other thing is that we have set up a platform to make it easier for youth to record videos. So these are really short videos, and they would go to this link and record like a 30-second video about why they love after school. And then I will be able to download those videos. They won't go public. It's a public link, but people won't be able to see them publicly because I'm going to immediately download them. So it may look like nobody has done any videos yet, which, to be honest, I don't think anybody has yet. So we're very hopeful that some of you will get some of your youth involved in doing this. They can snap a selfie of themselves and then record. We've got sentences started out for them so that they can say, I go to this program and this is how this program has helped me. And then we would need you, if they're selected, to ask permission from their parent or guardian for us to use that video for the program. I'm going to put together like a collage of youth to play at the Lights On After School program for policymakers and others who attend.
So just to clarify, Natalie's not going to be sitting at her computer 24 hours a day waiting for your students to post. What happens is they would submit it on the Flipgrid, and then before it goes public, Natalie has to approve it. So she will review, approve, and immediately download and take it off. So if they do this at 6:02, she may not approve it until the next day, but it will not be public during that time between when they post it and when she downloads and deletes it. It won't be out there.
Okay, yeah, exactly right. Thank you for explaining that better, Terry. Ashley says she hasn't got an email. Well, that worries me. Well, Ashley, I will put everything again in the chat box, and then we'll also make sure to check and see if that email did go out to everybody. Does anybody else on the call recall getting an email earlier this week? I see Patrick nodding potentially a little bit. Okay, so it may just have, we'll check on that though. Thank you. And I think, okay, thanks, Gloria. We've got the next slide, and Mark has a couple of things on here. Do you want to take it over from here, Mark?
Yeah, and you jump in, please, Natalie, anything that you want to add to this, because you'll also talk about our own statewide event. But hey, listen, it is lights on time. I'm glad that Terry said it is October. And just so you know, cold enough in the Ozarks this morning that we had our first fire in the fireplace, and my grandchildren were very excited about that. Woke up because I refuse to turn the heat on when I don't need to. So we'll put a fire in the fireplace. Anyway, so it's lights on week, lights on month, I should say. And so real quick, if you have not registered yet, please register your event. It doesn't matter what kind of an event you're doing. That's one of the things that we've been saying on our national calls is that we know this is a different year. So whatever you do to celebrate, if it's just a little bit of a time virtually, or if you do something in person, you just do it just with your kids, whatever you do, register your event. Right now, we rank number 7 nationally with numbers of programs that have registered. We're at 74 so far. That's exciting. We've climbed quite a bit in the last week. So I just got the email yesterday from Ursula at the AfterSchool Alliance. And I just tell you what, here's my deal. I don't say it's impossible. I will say that California, Texas, and New York, California and Texas, we may not reach them, but I think we can be in the top 5. So I'm challenging you, if you have not registered, register your program. We're going to keep doing that up until lights on, and hopefully we make top 5 number of states with registered lights on events. So I'm just going to leave it there. We have lots of activities. Use the whole week, beginning October the 19th. The date is October the 22nd. That's the, and typically it's the 4th Thursday of the month, typically. So this year it's not October 22nd. If you've not, I think Natalie has just said we were able to get, or we received the governor's proclamation yesterday or day before yesterday. But if you haven't gotten a local or county proclamation, it is not too late. Contact your city hall, contact your county commissioner, get in front of them, send them the language. Everything that you would need for anything lights on is at the AfterSchool Alliance website in their lights on toolbox. You just take it, copy it, make it yours, make it easy for them to do the proclamation, and then get those done. And that would be really, really sweet for you as well. Lighting up landmarks. I've got a list of landmarks that we are attempting. We know of one of these 5 that are already confirmed, and that is the Kansas City fountains. So KC Parks and Recreation has gotten permission to have all of the city-owned fountains around the city lit up for lights on after school that week. So they're working on some other ideas around that, specifically, I think, with the Chiefs as well. So, but we have gotten some encouraging word. Oh, Gloria says we have the planetarium. Thank you, Gloria. You did that last year. Woohoo! So excited about that. I know we're working on, it looks like we may get the Branson Ferris wheel, and they're willing to work with the Union Station Ferris wheel folks to get the Union Station Ferris wheel. I can't wait to take a night picture of that logo without the mask of our little lights on dude at the Branson Ferris wheel on October 22nd. That's going to be fun. And Patrick, thank you guys for Boys and Girls Go to the Ozarks, making that happen and reaching out to Craig Westcott and the team at Track Family Fun Parks there in Branson. So we're still working on the Capitol. Natalie's doing a great job of continuing to remind them. I'm just teasing. She's not badgering them, but she is following up regularly. And we know the Capitol can get lit up, and by Garshies, we are not going to rest until we get that sucker lit up for lights on. Anyway, we're working on that as well. So it's going to be, in spite of COVID, this is going to be a great year for lights on after school. We're excited about some potential announcements about lights on for our statewide virtual statewide lights on town hall celebration, but we'll keep that in the bag until everything is confirmed. But Natalie, back to you.
All right. Oh,
So this one I threw in, I don't know if but you guys are welcome to jump in or also. I just saw when I was looking for the link to the Alliance survey that the After School Alliance is doing a drawing on October 8th, which is next week, for everybody who has done 2 things. So many, 70 something of you have already registered for Lights On. So if you also take the survey, then you'll be entered into their drawing for a $100 gift card And then they'll do additional drawings each week after that for $50 gift cards. So this is, I mean, one more step and you're almost there. So please definitely register your Lights On after school events. And then what I was really looking for was the results of their second survey. I just heard them this week, but looking around on the After School Alliance's site, it doesn't look like they have publicly posted the responses to those surveys yet. So if it comes out and there's a link to that before Monday, we'll get it into the pipeline. But the After School Alliance has opened their third survey that they are requesting that networks help share this information. It does still relate to COVID. One of the biggest takeaway that I saw, I've actually heard their presentation twice in the last week about the second survey, was that programs serving middle to upper income communities were, like, I want to say twice as likely, but I think it was maybe 20% more likely to be open and operating than programs that were serving the lowest income group. And that's, I mean, they've got several reasons that they're speculating in that area, but it definitely shows the need. And from their policy and advocacy perspective, it shows like the need, and they're taking this request to Congress for additional 21st century dollars that would have the flexibility to go to non-21st century programs. But thinking about the way the federal government gives out money, they've given money to the Department of Ed that filtered to the states to come to school districts. They've given money to child care, which has filtered down to licensed child care programs. But the vehicle to get money to after school programs that may or may not be in their school district budget and may or may not be licensed child care programs is actually the 21st century budget line item. So there's a request that the After School Alliance has been working with legislators, and it's in the proposals and the bills that are working or not working their way through Congress right now. But those additional 21st century dollars will actually have the flexibility to support after school programs that are not currently 21st century grantees. And so it's from these surveys that they're getting some of the information that they're using to advocate for those dollars, because they're able to say the percentage of programs that are in jeopardy of closing, that have not reopened their doors yet, that need additional funding, whether or not they're current 21st century grantees. So I encourage you to take their survey, and if we can get the link in the chat box for this survey, you might even be able to get it done before this call is over. So, and if you've done both registering for Lights On and taking the survey, you could be in a drawing for a $100 gift card, which is a pretty big deal.
Absolutely. Hey, Terry, I want to say this real quick. I was en route to my, I was on the phone. So then I got to where I was to get on the computer, and I didn't get to promote. I don't know if anybody was going to promote their committees, but let me say this: if you're looking, they're all great committees. Okay, all great committees. Look at, we're going to start seeing a lot of promotion in the chat box. But let me tell you, there's some awesome stuff happening right now on the public policy and awareness front. And if you want to hear more about where we're going, and we are so excited to have Natalie join our team and the continued growth of our public policy department at Mason. But we got some stuff coming down the pike, and we've been, even in the midst of COVID, some amazing things are happening. And we believe that more amazing things are going to happen. And specifically, as you hear Terry talk about funding, that is still such a huge part of what we're working toward from a state perspective. And so anyway, just want to throw that plug out there. We'd love to have you. Even if you just want to sit on the sidelines and listen, come join us.
Great. I did a little brief explanation, but they weren't quite recruiting plugs. So Thank you, Mark, for recruiting. So I was as I mentioned, I was poking around on the After School Alliance's website looking for like a copy of these slides that they had presented, or some of the like kind of summary statements that they were sharing, and I didn't find those yet. But when I was on there, one of their most recent blogs was from September 25th, and it was about it was a recap of their Hill briefing that they had last week. And I wanted to point out, because I had not realized, I had heard that he was going to be part of a Hill briefing, but I didn't realize they had a blog talking about the Hill briefing. But Flint Fowler, who is with the Boys and Girls Clubs of St. Louis, was part of the Hill briefing that he shared how their program responded to COVID and what they have been doing as schools reopen. And so there's a really nice article that's part of the blog section of the After School Alliance website that I would encourage you to read. And again, as soon as we get those talking points from the most recent survey, we'll get them in the next pipeline for you. Oh, and it looks like our team is pasting in the links to the committee meetings. So if you are interested in a particular committee, again, might as well click on those links right now and register to attend those next week. Natalie, this one you added.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody, if you don't know, that October 7th, which is coming up Wednesday, is the last day to register to vote in Missouri in order to be able to vote in the November election. And this is important that we have after school advocates voting. So I encourage you to consider reminding staff that that'll be their last chance to register. They can register online. If you register online, you need to be able to have an electronic signature. So you'll have to be able to have like a touch screen or something where you can sign a signature. But if that is done by 5 p.m. on October 7th, they will be able to vote in this year's election, and they can check to see if they are registered to vote at the Secretary of State's website. A lot of your local election authorities will also have those, like your county clerk's office, where you can check there. But we do have a statewide way to check. And also a reminder that getting your absentee ballot early is important. So in Missouri, just for this year, if you are 65 or older, or you have an underlying health condition, you do not need to have a notarized ballot in order to vote absentee. And it's best to go ahead and vote and get those sent in. And just let me know if you have any questions about voting or anything I can assist with. Thank you.
All right. And do you still see the screen like normal? I'm on licensing. Okay. I clicked on one of the registration links, so I don't know if you followed me there or not, but on the licensing front, these are links that have been shared in the past, but wanted to bring up just one update. The Department of Health and Senior Services, in conjunction with the governor's office, has extended the summer camp waiver an additional 30 or 31 days till the end of October. So if a summer program that was previously exempt because they were a summer camp style program is offering hubs, so childcare hubs. Their exemption lasts through the end of October as long as they're working on becoming licensed. So there still needs to be that progress towards becoming licensed, but that exemption extends the amount of time that the program could become licensed. If you are aware of non-traditional childcare programs that are offering services in your community to hubs of children that are more than 6 in quantity, those most likely should be licensed. There's a process with the Department of Health. It's this DC-20 form. It's actually been updated, so that link may not work anymore. Just like September 15th or something, there was a new a change to the form. So I will check that before the pipeline goes out. But if there's a program in your community that you think probably should be licensed, it would be to the health and safety benefit of the children in that program to be in a licensed facility. So please share with them the DC-20 form so that they can start that process. Or if it's a situation you would like to talk through more specifically, you are welcome to contact one of us at the network, and we can help with that also. So unfortunately, there's a lot of programs out there that don't realize they should be licensed. So we want to help educate people on the rules and the process. Next, we wanted to share that Mozak is moving along. So hopefully you have November 19th and 20th. It's a Thursday and a Friday marked on your calendar to join us there. The event will feature 6 time periods with live presentations. Excuse me. We'll have a live keynote address each day on Thursday and on Friday, and then 2 periods of breakout sessions with multiple choices in the afternoons. In addition to that, we'll have a virtual library with, I believe it's 40 pre-recorded workshops that can be like self-selected and watched. So if one of the 3 live sessions doesn't grab your attention, you could watch one of the pre-recorded ones, but those pre-recorded ones will also be available for 2 weeks afterwards. So so for a period of 2 weeks, you or your staff members who are signed up can watch those recorded workshops and still get clock hours for those. Some of those recorded workshops are going to be for Missourians. So be watching in the pipeline for an RFP to present at Mozak to do the pre-recorded session and present and be a part of that library. Plus, we're also accessing some national presentations that the Mott Foundation has been gathering for all 50 state networks that are doing virtual conferences this year. There's probably about 25 other states that are doing them. We will be building in networking opportunities into the schedule also. There's a virtual exhibit hall. There's a virtual lounge. We'll be recognizing our celebration of after school people in the virtual lounge also. So we'll have some virtual networking opportunities. I'm planning on joining the Nebraska conference tonight for their cocktails and mocktails social, just kind of to see how that goes. We haven't decided what types of socials we're going to be doing, but there's some creative virtual socials out there. There will be swag. So when registration is open, which should be in about 2 weeks, each individual will need to register so that it's a unique email address and they create their account basically right then and there. But also we will be asking for addresses so that we can mail the swag packages. And of course, we'll try to have as much fun as possible. It won't quite be the same as having like the dance party going through the halls and the karaoke at night. But we do help. We are trying hard to plan that fun atmosphere and for this to still be that retreat from normal programming where you and your team will feel like it's time for that refresh and that renewal and professional development to meet your particular needs. So it will be different, but we do think that it will be worth your time. As for the registration, the maximum that it would be $75 per person for the 2 days, which pretty much works out to $10 per clock hour for the live sessions, then with the 40 additional virtual sessions available for the 2 weeks afterwards. But the maximum would be $75 per person. Working still with the platform that all of the statewide networks are able to use this year, on if we could do group registrations with a group discount and things like that. But maximum amount for those of you who've been kind of trying to figure out budgets and how many people you might be able to send, max per person would be $75 per person. So if there are questions about Mosaic, please stick them in the chat. The registration link is not yet available. Each of the statewide networks, it's an 8-week process they do with ours. And so we're at the point where it should be, it's our soft launch, but it's open in about 2 weeks. So we'll have that in the pipeline as soon as it's available. Okay, so a time for questions. If anybody has anything that you'd like to ask of us or ask of each other. Don't see any unmuting, but if you have questions, you're welcome to type them in the chat box also.
I would throw out real quick, Terry, as someone's getting ready to ask a question, be paying attention to the pipeline coming out on Monday. There's a bunch of new stuff coming down the way. So a lot of information. So we want to make sure we continue to keep that rolling. Some stuff we'll be making some announcements a couple of weeks about the microgrant applications have closed, and we'll let folks know if they got the grants or not in a couple of weeks. Also, as it relates to entrepreneurship, there's going to be a link in there about a free entrepreneurship professional development that's sponsored by YEI. They've made their Inspire conference virtual, and they're calling Inspire Fest. They're actually starting it and going to do it over the course of a day in October, 2 days in November, and a day in December. But anyway, there's lots of other cool things that will be in the pipeline. So just pay attention to that, and we'll follow those up throughout the time of the month.
Hi, sorry, I was on mute. And I was looking for glue sticks and tape for our globe that's being made on a balloon next door. So I apologize. If there's, I don't see any other questions in the chat box. Is there anybody who would like to share what's going on at your program? Or what issues and concerns are on your mind right now? Like what's keeping you up at night? Or maybe celebrations of something that over the past month your program made it through. We'd be happy to kind of hear and let you guys have an opportunity to share what's going on. Okay, I'm not going to force anybody to talk. So short staff and fire inspection. Oh, Audrey. Yeah. I'm hearing a lot about staffing issues, like trouble recruiting, and even like the complicated nature of the schedules right now, with having some before and after school, some full day, the hybrid schedules, that it's worse than normal on the scheduling front. Plus there's the recruiting part of it. On the fire inspection front, if you're able to contact one of us, I would probably recommend either Natalie, Mark, or myself. We'd be happy to kind of talk through those. We're hearing from other programs what's working as far as the variance process, and how kind of the way to go about requesting those, so that it shows how you're going to keep the kids safe, despite the fact that you're not going to do what they ask you to do. So those are kind of more of an individual situation and response, but I would encourage you to reach out to Natalie, Mark, or me to kind of talk through those. Thanks for sharing.
I was wondering if you guys have heard this term called a time waiver.
A time waiver. Meaning which time, like hours during the day, or more of a time waiver on not being licensed?
We've went through the variance requests. They were sent, and I reviewed those with Jim Henderson, he's, I guess, the regional fire chief inspector. And we went through the variances that I submitted over the phone. And what I got from him was that two of our, we prioritized some things that have to happen before they'll even consider a time waiver. And so we identify what those two are, which were related to our fire exits, lights, emergency light combination, and then the having a connective fire, a temporary connective fire alarm system that would just be in the child care area. So once that was identified, then we could, then he would look at the other ones, and they would be considered more of he said a time waiver, which that means that the additional issues were more related to, we just need an upgraded fire alarm system. And right now that is a huge expense to just update the full system. So we're looking at as a timeline. I call it more of a timeline. He used the term time waiver, meaning Jim with the, and what that is we identify steps we're taking to move towards getting the system fully updated by May 2021. So right now.
Is this a space you consider would continue to have licensed after COVID?
Correct. We are trying to get a child care center license.
Okay. So, right. So in thinking about the time, I've heard of other programs that are getting time limited waivers, in that it's only good through May 2021. Like but in those cases, it's like office buildings that are being used for pods, learning pods, that will go back to not being childcare spaces afterwards. So it sounds like because you would like for yours to continue to be a childcare space, they're being flexible on implementing those changes.
Correct. And again, we're going back on the two priorities before we can get another, I guess, re-inspection. We're at the point now, those two priorities are going to a company and getting quotes. So right now we're just at getting someone to come in and give us a quote on what those two priorities are. Okay. And then that'll determine pretty much, is this even feasible for us to do that?
Right, because you're trying to get the big long-term picture for how much it's going to.
Absolutely, yeah. Our sanitation inspection went fine. It was just minimal things that needed to be corrected. The lady that came out, Edith Todd, she was very nice, very knowledgeable, went through some things. And then at the end of the, in the report, they were just minimal cosmetic things that needed to be corrected. Changing our sanitation, 3-method sanitation spray, and then having a test strips with that spray. I mean, that was probably the major thing. The rest of them are more of a cosmetic thing. We had to lower the temperature of our hot water heater. The water was too hot. It was like 123, which has to be in the range between, I believe 116 and 120. So compared to the fire inspection, the sanitation inspection was a breeze.
Right.
Melissa from DHSS, our child care specialist, she's already came out and did her inspection. So what we're waiting on is this fire inspection. Now Edith will come back out on the 13th and do a re-inspection of sanitation, but I'm not, I'm pretty confident on that one. The fire inspection, just getting someone in here to get a quote so we can determine our direction. Once that's done and the waiver, the time waiver has been completed, then we should be eligible to get our license.
Oh, that's great news.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been pretty hectic though.
Your example of the like the integrated alarm system, I think is a good example of the difference between wanting this to be like a fully permanent childcare space versus the temporary, because one of the programs that I talked with that was also on their list. And because it was, I believe in their case, they're only looking at being open until December at this location. So for those, this was back in September. So for a 3-month period, they requested a waiver to not have that integrated system. But instead, I believe one of the things they did was put up like twice as many of like the regular alarms, and there was a neighbor in the building and like worked out like a plan with the other entity in the building, as far as like the notification of fire from their space too.
Right.
Stuff. So I think that the really good thing about what's happening right now with these inspections is that they are really trying to look on a case-by-case basis and understand what the limitations are in the space, and they are trying to be reasonable in what those variances are allowed to be. So.
Yeah, and I'm finding that to be true. Just in my, communication with the 3 different people from the 3 different departments when they came out to inspect, I think they are trying to be reasonable. And then also stressing the importance of why they're even, these 2 things are the priority. So you have a better understanding.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I wanted to push towards actually having the child care center actually licensed, so that if anything happens going further and related to any type of health, pandemic or anything that may affect our community, we've already positioned ourselves in a way that it's a matter of just getting the information out and then enroll your child and let's start the program again. So.
Right. Great. Are there anyone else who would like to share? So a question came up to me privately that I'll work on a written response to that person, but it does make me remember that to say that there will be a 21st Century Grantee Director meeting. Those are still for the month of October every other week. So there's one coming up next week. and then 2 weeks after that. So 21st century grantee specific questions could be asked now, but we also will have a 21st century specific update next Tuesday and have time to ask those questions too. Okay, well, I thank you all for being here. We will post this video, and do know that if you're not able to join us on a future Friday, once a month we're having these. They will be posted afterwards. But we appreciate you making the time to come out and join us today. And for those of you who are grantee directors, we hope to see you next week. And for everyone, we hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you all for being here.
Hi, everybody.
Have a great weekend. Enjoy the fall, the autumnal weather.
Bye-bye.